Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Tropical Depression Ida continues to bring heavy rain to much of the east, with more than 80 million people from New York to Mississippi under a flash flood watch. Meteorologist Kim Walker has the latest on how the remnants of this storm can affect our area.
Ida will continue to weaken as it progresses to the northeast. Some of the outer bands are already seen along the southern edge of Pennsylvania. I think this will start to move to the north, and so we could feel some of the effects and see some of the effects by your morning commute on Wednesday. Anywhere between an inch to 2 inches could be possible for the Pennsylvania side, but for the New York side, significantly less, anywhere between about 0.2 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. I'll have more details on this coming up in just a little bit.
Thanks, Kim. More than 1 million Louisiana residents remain without power, and the death toll from monster Hurricane Ida is rising. Isabel Rosales is in New Orleans with the latest.
Downed trees.
And I heard this just magnanimous crash.
Widespread power outages.
Like living in a camp.
Neighborhoods leveled.
My whole childhood is just gone now.
Hurricane Ida leaving a trail of destruction across the Gulf Coast.
There are no roads. There is no grass. It is water with houses poking out, and our highways are rescue waterways now.
Crews conducting hundreds of rescues to bring trapped Louisiana residents to safety.
We rescued 348 people, 48 pets, and we were able to get those folks to safety.
But as Ida continues to weaken, now just a tropical depression, the danger continues. In Mississippi, heavy rainfall washing away a highway Monday night, leaving at least 2 people dead and several critically injured. And in Tennessee, residents still recovering from recent deadly flooding, bracing for more.
God, not again.
Desperate Louisiana residents left without power, lining up at gas stations for fuel, with warnings of excessive heat now in the forecast.
Very desperate.
Why?
It's just no resources.
As residents across the region face the daunting road ahead.
Stay strong. We'll make it.
There is hope of recovery.
This is our city, but we'll bounce back.
Now to the fallout from the recent flash flooding in Steuben County. Some high school students will soon call a new building home after theirs was hit by floodwaters. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens tells us what's in store for students at Jasperburg High School.
Good evening, Ann. While Jasperburg works on cleaning up the damage left by the flood, students will be sent to a new school building about 10 miles away, possibly for the entire year. Today at Jasperburg, cleanup crews are hard at work to clear the damage left behind by record flooding 2 weeks ago. The damage left behind was extensive, as nearly 4 feet of water flooded the halls of the building. As a result, students will be relocated to Canasteo Greenwood Middle School about 10 miles away. According to the Steuben County Director of Public Safety, students could be at Canasteo Greenwood for at least a year. The school district is currently working on rerouting buses to get students to their new building. The school year kicks off on September 8th. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
With the beginning of the school year just around the corner, the Eastside Market is helping families get ready. The Eastside Farmers Market held a back-to-school event with the Elmira City School District. During the event, the Family Reading Partnership of Chemung Valley was giving away free books, while the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine gave away free backpacks. Organizers hope to ring in the new school year by getting kids prepared to return to class.
It's been a really hard year for, the last year, 18 months or so. And so we just wanted to help make it be a celebration to go back to school and make sure that they had what they needed.
One of the most important skills children learn in school is reading. And reading just opens the door to possibilities, because reading is so important to success in school and success in life.
The back-to-school event provided plenty of fresh produce and live music for families who attended. If you look at a map of COVID-19 transmission in the U.S. right now, it is almost completely bright red, meaning almost every person in the country is living in an area with high transmission. Experts say the way out is vaccination. And as Britt Conway reports, the CDC says it has new data to prove it.
Delta, up close.
It's causing collapse of the lung. It's causing air to escape and surround the heart.
And it's spreading. New COVID-19 cases are surging to levels we haven't seen since January, averaging more than 155,000 a day. And between August 23rd and 29th, about 37% of the country's ICU patients had COVID, a number that's been steadily rising each week since late June. The vast majority who end up dying are unvaccinated. Even though Pfizer's vaccine now has full FDA approval for people 16 and up. And Monday, it got the CDC's recommendation. A CDC doctor who briefed its vaccine advisory board says unpublished CDC data through July shows vaccine effectiveness against hospitalization remains at 94% or higher in adults 18 to 74, more than 80% for people 75 and older, and more than 50% among long-term care facility residents, the first to get vaccinated. Now, experts are discussing third doses and boosters, but about 80 million Americans who are eligible still haven't gotten that first dose.
It's even harder when it's your friends. I have a patient now that's the father of one of my son's classmates, and he's not expected to make it. He was not vaccinated.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
The United States experienced record low flu cases because of protocols in place due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But what does easing those protocols mean for the upcoming flu season? As Catherine Hawley tells us, experts say it's too soon to tell.
Small changes in behavior can make a huge impact. We've seen that firsthand over the last 18 months of the pandemic.
Because people were social distancing and masking in public in order to minimize the spread of COVID, it had a dramatic effect on decreasing the spread of the flu and other respiratory viruses.
The seasonal winter surge of influenza cases plummeted to a record low. Yet when restrictions relaxed and masks started coming off over the summer, respiratory viruses exploded out of season.
It allowed a little open window for these viruses to come in and spread like wildfire in our kids.
That's the reason some experts think we could be headed for a difficult flu season. The CDC says the lack of exposure to the virus could make us more vulnerable, resulting in an early and possibly severe season, especially if folks aren't masking up or socially distancing. But it's really too early to say for sure.
I don't think it would be valid at this time to try to predict exactly what's going to happen, because so much depends upon what happens between now and December with regard to human behavior.
Rolling up your sleeve for the flu shot is the best way to protect yourself. Officials urge everyone to get the vaccine by the end of October before cases generally start to spike. Washing your hands frequently and wearing a face covering in public will also help stop the spread.
This is not the time for you to take a risk with catching the flu and getting sick enough to end up in the hospital when hospitals are already overloaded with COVID patients, because you might not get the care that you need.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is asking stores to alert Americans about using an animal drug to treat COVID-19. The agency's Center for Veterinary Medicine sent this safety alert about the drug ivermectin to veterinarians and retailers across the country. They're asking them to post it or hand it out to customers. The alert warns the FDA has not proven ivermectin is safe for humans or effective as a COVID treatment, and that animal products can cause serious health effects, including death. Ivermectin is an anti-parasitic drug intended for horses, cattle, and sheep, but some have been promoting it as a possible coronavirus treatment. The debate over Afghanistan intensifying today as lawmakers debate whether the United States was correct in withdrawing troops. Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with the latest on the political fallout as the Biden administration stands by its decision, despite some Americans still waiting to get out.
At Kabul's international airport, a far different scene than just a day before. Taliban fighters now walking the tarmac, fully in control of the runway. This photo from the Defense Department showing the last service member as they left Afghanistan. The U.S. Embassy in Kabul officially suspended operations, warning Americans still planning to leave they can no longer rely on the U.S. government's assistance. Just hours ahead of the deadline, the final U.S. plane was seen departing, ending America's longest war.
We are going to stay vigilant about whatever terrorism threat might emanate from Afghanistan.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken outlining the role of the United States moving forward.
A new chapter of America's engagement with Afghanistan has begun. It's one in which we will lead with our diplomacy. The military mission is over. A new diplomatic mission has begun.
On Capitol Hill, the president's decision to withdraw by Tuesday's deadline fueling debate. Critics say it happened too quickly, with an estimated 200 or fewer Americans still remaining in the country.
President Biden lied to the American people. He said he would get everybody out, and he didn't.
While there have been some GOP calls for impeachment, it's unlikely, given Republicans remain in the minority in both the House and the Senate. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight as COVID-19 cases surge across the U.S. A new poll shows the number of people saying they're not likely to get a COVID-19 vaccine is declining.
I had to turn away a cancer patient that needed emergency treatment simply due to the fact that my hospital didn't have any beds.
The latest on the battle against COVID and the drop in numbers in those who said they would not get vaccinated.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. We are keeping our eyes on Ida at this time as it continues to press to the northeast. Still located near Tennessee, but by tomorrow it should start to make its way into the mid-Atlantic and then finally to the New England states. But we are already seeing some clouds out of the system, and there's also some rain along a boundary that is located just to the north. So the outer bands are already moving into southern Pennsylvania, and by tomorrow, those showers will start to increase. We could see some of these showers as early as 7 o'clock in the morning, and then the rain really starts to pick up during the day. But overall, we are going to start off with dry conditions. But again, during the day, rain chances will start to increase. Along with that, that cold front that pushed through yesterday has now allowed for drier air to move in. So our dew points right now around 60 degrees. You definitely noticed it. It wasn't quite as sticky as it was yesterday, and we're going to enjoy this nice weather as we head into the second half of the week. So here's a look at your planner for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy conditions during the day. After 5 o'clock, the rain really starts to pick up, but by 7 o'clock, temperature rings around 60 degrees, 64. By 9, by lunchtime, in the upper 60s. We warm up to around 70 degrees by 1 o'clock and then drop back down into the upper 60s in the afternoon. So it is going to be a relatively cool day, and it may feel a little bit chilly as well, so you might even need that sweater. Our future radar is showing for tonight clouds will continue to thicken up as Ida approaches. By 7 o'clock in the morning, we are going to feel or see some of these showers along the northern or the southern tier of the state and the northern tier of Pennsylvania. Heavy rain down to the south, making its way into Tioga, possibly into Bradford County. The best chances of rain and the greatest amount of rain will be from Bradford County and eastward. And so there is a flash flood warning, or I should say a watch in effect for tomorrow. So just keep that in mind if you are traveling to the south. And it looks like, again, the yellow, the orange that's showing up, that's the indication depicting that larger amount of rainfall. But for our area from Corning to Elmira, I'm expecting just a few showers that will last through the afternoon and into the evening. So just keep that in mind. You might want to keep that umbrella handy throughout the afternoon on your Wednesday. How much rainfall are we expecting down to the south in Bradford County? About 1.2 inches. Southern Tioga County, nearly an inch. In Elmira, about 0.3 of an inch. Same with Corning, but less as we make our way to the north. Here's a look at your forecast for tonight, though. Expect those clouds to really start to thicken up. Overnight lows will drop down into the 50s. Highs tomorrow will be near 70 degrees, and we'll stay in the 70s through the weekend.
As COVID-19 cases surge around the country, especially for those who are unvaccinated, many hospitals are being pushed to the limit, with 5 states nearly out of ICU beds. Meanwhile, a new poll shows the number of people saying they're not likely to get a vaccine is declining. Mandy Gaither has the latest on the battle against COVID in today's Health Minute.
With COVID-19 cases continuing to climb, some U.S. hospitals are at a breaking point.
Delta's just ripping through the hospitals in ways that we couldn't have imagined.
In the South, where vaccinations have been lagging, hospitals have been hit especially hard. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Florida, and Arkansas have only about 10% of their ICU beds left, according to the Department of Health and Human Services.
I had to turn away a cancer patient that needed emergency treatment simply due to the fact that my hospital didn't have any beds.
A CDC vaccine advisor says the hospitalization rate is 16 times greater in the unvaccinated population than in those vaccinated. And according to a new poll, the number of Americans saying they are not very likely or at all likely to get a COVID-19 vaccine has dropped from 34% in March to 20%, a new low in the survey. As for children,
the number of pediatric cases are increasing, and they are going to keep increasing.
The American Academy of Pediatrics is now reporting a 5-fold increase in the number of children testing positive from a month ago. But the number of parents who said they'd likely vaccinate their children has also risen by 12 points from 2 weeks ago. 68% of those polled now say they're likely to or already have vaccinated their children. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
President Biden recently signed a new law regarding veterans and puppies. It requires the Department of Veterans Affairs to offer training and service dogs to vets with post-traumatic stress disorder. In Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, there's already a hard-working therapy dog who's helping local veterans. Evan Denton has the story.
A 3.5-year-old golden retriever named Shadow is an important staff member at Klein Hall in Chippewa Falls.
The purpose of a therapy dog is the companionship. A properly trained therapy dog can identify certain issues that a veteran's having. And if you walk around the halls and you see Shadow, sometimes he'll just be laying down sleeping. And somehow he just knows if a veteran is going through an issue, and he would just hang out with that veteran, and the veteran will get released from that.
Shadow has an impact on nearly everyone he comes in contact with.
I've seen Shadow do miracles here with some of the veterans. I've seen veterans that have struggled for years. The thing about therapy animals is that when they're in an environment like this, they're working 24/7, 365. Shadow's, he's staffed.
He pulls me out of some situations I have. I do have night terrors most of the night, flashbacks. Shadow pulls me out, keeps me sane for the most part.
From sanity to inspiration, Shadow wears many hats when helping others.
It helps, to see a friendly face, keep you motivated, It's just good to have him around, for a friendship. I'll go for a walk. Most of the time, he'd be walking me.
I like to think that Shadow has a major impact on everybody's lives. If he wasn't here, most of our vets probably would relapse a lot more for the program that they're in, whether that be alcohol, drugs. I think he's a very valuable member of the staff here.
The Delta variant is forcing companies both big and small to delay their return to office plans. Many of the tech industry's biggest companies that were some of the first to shut down offices at the start of the pandemic are now joining the growing list of tech giants delaying plans to go back. In today's Consumer Watch, why experts say companies should be ready to make more adjustments.
The Delta variant surge putting return to office plans on hold.
The Delta variant is shifting the conversation away from we must get back to work to, oh my gosh, we have to think really critically about what work means now.
Consultant Amber Cabral says many of her clients are on wait-and-see mode as tech giants join the growing list of companies pushing their plans months into the future. Google and Uber moving their return date to October. Facebook, Amazon, and Apple delaying a return to corporate offices until at least January. Lyft pushing the return even further to February. Cabral says managers are counting on employees to be patient and flexible.
That this isn't just a conversation about, what's going on with the Delta variant. It's also a conversation about people modifying their lives. You've got the folks that were eager to get back that are really frustrated. And then you have the folks that are like, great, because I wasn't ready to go back into the office.
The delay is giving managers more time to encourage or, in some cases, mandate vaccines. And with some industries facing labor shortages, employers say they don't want to lose anyone over mandates or force them back to the workplace too soon. But with about 18 months out of the office, some workers aren't yet ready to give up the flexibility, comfort, and safety of working from home.
I'm producing more work. I can be held accountable virtually. I don't actually need to be physically in the office.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Walt Disney World is resuming its annual pass holder program starting on September 8th. The theme park is offering 4 new options starting at $400. The most expensive option, the Disney Incredipass, costs $1,300 plus tax. It includes no blackout days and up to 5 park reservations at a time. Each annual pass can be customized to include add-on experiences like water parks and photo pass downloads. Current pass holders do have the option to renew the new passes at a special price. Among the 13 U.S. service members killed at Kabul's airport last week, a 23-year-old Marine from Nebraska. A Vietnam veteran is making sure that his family feels supported by placing American flags outside their home. Brian Master reports.
The family of Corporal Dagan Page said they are humbled and uplifted by how many people have been honoring him. Last night they saw the small flags planted in their yard when they returned home from the dignified transfer of their son at Dover Air Force Base. They said they've been moved by the selfless generosity of the countless friends who have showed up at their houses full of love, full of flowers and food.
It was kind of cool to see people step up.
Corporal Page's parents also appreciated the actions of a Vietnam veteran today. Terry Bruner, a fellow Marine, prepared as many as 30 flags to surround their home in Millard like a giant community hug. It's something he's done before. At 8 feet tall, the American symbols serve as a support network for the perimeter, a combination of comfort and respect.
The way I look at it, Marines, they're the people who guard the streets up in heaven. Those who are honored enough to get their last call of duty to serve up there did so by defending this flag. So the last thing I can do is to provide a fitting tribute for them who died defending this by giving it back to them on their streets.
While the family is encouraging people to send messages and personal tributes to Dagan's Never Forgotten Facebook page, they also shared recent photos giving us a glimpse into the Marine's life outside the military. Just before he deployed, he took this selfie with his girlfriend, Jessica Ellison. Here he is celebrating Thanksgiving a couple years ago with his Marine family at Camp Pendleton, and one enjoying hockey with fellow Marines and other Anaheim Ducks fans. It's a small way of sharing their son with the community during this time of grief and saying thank you for the gift of support back.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. The San Diego Zoo is celebrating the birth of a 125-pound baby girl. In this case, she's a rare white rhino calf. Since 1972, the San Diego Zoo has been successfully breeding the threatened species in captivity. Over the years, 104 baby white rhinos have been born at the zoo, adding to the population of just about 18,000 left in the world. The baby girl has not been named yet, and she'll continue to nurse during her first year of life. She's got a bit of growing to do. When full grown at around 3 years of age, she could weigh between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.